Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I want to talk a little basketball, man. We're very close to the start of the preseason. I think it's probably sometime at the end of next week or something like that. Very close. And I have a few teams that I'm thinking about, and we're just winging it as we often do. I haven't done this all summer long. I've deliberately stayed away from basketball for a particular purpose, and that purpose was to rejuvenate my desire to do this, because honestly, I was worn out by last season, the schedule and how condensed it was, as I often complained about. But I think I'm where I need to be, and I have some inspiration to talk about a team that's not necessarily my own, but a team that I think is a little intriguing, if not a lot intriguing to me. And that is the Philadelphia 76ers. I know, the Sixers, I know, but I'm intrigued, and I'll tell you why. Because they do have a handful of players or prospects, etc., that I think could be potentially helpful to improving upon some weaknesses that they had last year. Height particularly was a problem. Athleticism was a problem, and youth was a problem. And I think that they may have done a few things to help with that this season. First of all, let's just look at what they have here. Obviously, Joel Embiid. He is on pace to return at the beginning of the season after missing pretty much the last 2 seasons, pretty much, with various knee ailments and things like that. I don't know what to expect from Joel, but if I'm their GM, my intention is to play up his value and trade him if at all possible. Now, he's on a 4-year, $55 million a year contract. It's going to be very, very difficult to trade that, so I wouldn't be too hopeful that I can move him. But for me, I don't necessarily need to be on the timeline that he is on. A win now timeline is not necessarily what needs to be going on there. If they happen to win, that's a wonderful thing, but you don't feel like you have a ceiling that can get you to a championship. And really, flexibility to help you build around your young guys is probably a bit more valuable than trying to reach the ceiling with what you have. So that's, to start, really what I'm saying. My expectations aren't super high for the Sixers, even if everybody's healthy and playing very well. I just think that their ceiling is capped off well under NBA championship for now. So Joel Embiid is a guy who, obviously a legacy act on their team, obviously somebody who's going to get one of those little statues that they give out. And, you know, that's his legacy has been kind of tainted by injuries, but ultimately he has been one of the most talented centers we've ever seen, and has won an MVP to show for it. So he can still help a team if he's able to string together some healthy weeks, because that's how I'm looking at it from week to week with him. Obviously, you don't want him playing back-to-backs. Obviously, you're going to expect him to miss at least 30 games, no matter what. But if he can string together some good weeks throughout the course of the season, he can really help his team surge. And if the team is already extremely talented, I think they can do some winning. So you don't want to have to rely upon Joel, but if he's a part of a situation that's already established, I think he can help a team win a championship. I really do. So I would love to see him off of that Sixer team and into a situation that's already established with other guys, so he can be the number 2 or even the number 3 on the roster. With his contract, that makes it a bit impossible, but that would be what I would want for everybody involved. So that's the thing. And then, of course, you got Paul George, who's, for me, I don't look at Paul George as somebody who should have ever been given a contract like this. He's on a 3-year, $51 million contract. He is one of the more disappointing players. Obviously, you got to give him his credit for a fantastic, illustrious career where he came back from an incredibly difficult injury when his leg snapped in Team USA basketball play many years ago, and he came back and was a hell of a player. But at this point, I don't know that he has a whole lot left in the game. I don't know if his mind is focused on basketball. It seems like he's transitioned to life after basketball, but somebody gave him a crazy contract, so he had to sign it. But I don't think, if I'm reading the tea leaves, he actually really wants to play ball anymore. I think he's kind of moved on from that. But, it is what it is. So we'll see if he's able to string together, again, just like Joel, some healthy weeks. And we know how naturally gifted he is. He can, if nothing else, hit some open shots and be somebody that on any given night can go off. But, for what it is that you expect for him to do on that contract, you just cap yourself underneath championship once again. If he were on a reasonable contract for what it is you expect him to do, he could be a hell of a piece, just like anybody else on a bad contract in a lot of cases. But with him being as he is, you need him to have a significant bounce back, one of the greatest bounce backs of all time, in order for your team to feel confident that you got a good situation going with him on that contract. So I'm down on Paul George, but I don't think there's any chance you're going to be able to trade him. I don't think anybody in their right mind is going to trade for him on that contract. And you just got to wait that thing out. That's really what I see there. So you're not going to buy it out necessarily. I don't think there's an urgency like with the Bucks and Dame to buy that contract out. I definitely don't. You're just going to kind of wait it out. And that's why I don't think Joel's timeline makes any sense to me. Now, maybe you give this a trial run to see if there's a resurgence with both of these players. Because if they both have a resurgence, then suddenly this can change things. If they both have one of the great comebacks of all time together, then suddenly you're looking at a really special situation. And with the natural ability of those two people, it's not crazy to think that they would have a good season or a renaissance season. But 9 out of 10 times in situations like this, what you're likely going to be is very disappointed, and ultimately without them due to injury. So the goal for the Sixers off the court with their GM, it should be to move those players. But the expectation is to likely not be able to, and to just understand that your ceiling is capped off well under championship, and it's mainly because of them being on those contracts. But what makes the Sixers intriguing, if you just remove the idea that they're supposed to be winning right now, is some young guys that people should pretty much be excited about. Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, VJ Edgecombe, Adam Bona. Those are players I like a lot, a whole lot. I would want them in a lot of situations. And so Philadelphia, to have them all together, should feel great about that fourth tandem right there. They also have Jabari Walker they picked up. They recently signed to a one-year deal. I think they're going to be very pleasantly surprised about what he can do. He's been stuck in Portland for a little while, but he has popped here and there and is still developing. I think he's going to be a productive player in this league, just like his uncle and his dad was, because, of course, he's from the Samaki Walker tree. I believe didn't Samaki have a brother in the league? Might be getting mixed up with somebody else. But this is Samaki's son. He's pretty good. In fact, he might be a little better than his dad when it's all said and done. So I like this player as a prospect. I don't know if they're going to give him opportunities, but if they do, he's already proven to me that he can ball. So, and then Justin Edwards, a nice piece. I like what I saw from him last year, even though he was one of those guys in a very bad draft that was considered to be a not good player. He came in the league and played much better than anybody was talking about. I like Justin Edwards. I think he's so much better than people were playing him for last year, and I think he really did some good things with the minutes given. He's a good developing piece to that young core that they have. Trendon Watford, again, they've addressed their center power forward position to provide them a bit more height. Trendon Watford is very key in all of that. He's about 6'9", power forward. Jabari Walker, 6'9", small forward. They're not very tall overall, but they bring significantly more size and height to the team, which was really hurting in that area last year. So I just love the idea of bringing in Trendon Watford. He's a player who played for the Brooklyn Nets a couple years. Before that, I think he was in Portland as well. He may have played with Jabari Walker, I think, in Portland. I'm not really sure. But Trendon Watford's a nice player, man. Somebody that definitely in a role-playing situation you feel confident about. Of course, they still got Kelly Oubre. He's on an expiring contract, $8 million. I don't know what he has right now to give the Sixers. I know he shot poorly. He even mentioned that himself. But at the very least, he's a high-level role player when he's right. And so I'd probably move him at the deadline, given the fact he's expiring. But he is not just a nothing burger, so to speak. I think he can still provide some help on a strong bench. So I would say he's a nice role player at this point, and always has the ability to do good things. So I'm not completely down on him at this point. And they do have some guys I am down on. Kyle Lowry needs to retire. This is ridiculous. Eric Gordon, same thing. Those people need to retire, man. There's no reason for them to keep bringing them back. Andre Drummond is a center. I'm not really sure what Drummond has right now, but he's expiring at $5 million, so that's a good value for him. At the very least, he gives you more center help in depth for which they could use. But, with Joel back and with Adam Bona stepping forward as a young rookie from last year, I feel confident that they probably won't have to use Drummond as much in theory, especially bringing in guys like Jabari. Although they have him listed as a small forward, he's more of a power forward to me. I think you can get away with playing him in small ball center at times. Trendon Watford, same thing. You could run them in small ball lineups. So, if I'm not mistaken, they also picked somebody up yesterday that I like from the Cavaliers, a prospect that they never developed. And my mind has gone blank on his name. I hate when this happens. But I do have my phone in front of me, so I could check out who that is right now. But he played for the Cleveland Cavaliers for a couple seconds, and this guy is pretty good. Damn, what is his name? They don't show it. They just picked him up. I just saw it, but he's going to play on the practice squad. He's a small forward, kind of an ISO guy, lengthy guy, and that's really what I see there as a player that I think can really help them. Why don't I see any information on this person? This is crazy, because my mind is going blank on his name, but I like him. So yeah, we'll get back to that. But he's added to their depth. Maybe he makes the team, maybe he doesn't. And a guy that I don't see on here, but I know is on the team, is Quentin Grimes. Quentin Grimes is a guy who he scored 50 points in one game last year. He's always played well everywhere he's gone. Dallas, New York, Detroit, he had some injury issues, but he's always played well, and with the Sixers, he broke out as well. So I think a lot of people are very high on Quentin Grimes, and you add him to that young core of Sixers as well. You definitely need to remember about just adding him in regards to the players that I initially mentioned as young players that could be a part of that core. So, I like what the Sixers have in their role-playing situations. I really do. I think the problem with the Sixers is two things, truly. The bad contracts on old guys that are expected to not be around very much due to injury and age, and coaching. I know Nick Nurse has won a championship with Kawhi and those guys, but I literally have hated everything he's done since coming to the 76ers. I thought he really struggled doing things that made any sense last year in regards to that roster, and I think they would be a lot better if they move on from him. I really do. So I think those are the two problems with the Sixers. I think the Sixers need to shift. Even though they have Joel Embiid and Paul George, I would shift toward Maxey, McCain, Grimes, and Edgecombe, and just let those guys run. And of course, Adam Bona. I would try to feature them as much as possible. I would have no problem with Paul George sitting games or Joel Embiid sitting games, because that's what you expect anyway. Just ride out the next 3 years and make sure you develop those 5 players and see which ones you want to pay, man. See which ones you can keep. Obviously, it must be said that VJ Edgecombe is a next-level athlete. Now, his three-point shot isn't quite where they want it to be as of yet, but he can develop that. But this dude reminds me of Jimmy Butler with ridiculous athleticism. That's what he reminds me of. He looks like a little Jimmy Butler with crazy hops. Some Dwayne Wade is in there as well. I love VJ Edgecombe. Absolutely love this player. He's a video game out there. And with him being a next-level athlete, that brings a significant amount of what the Sixers didn't have last year. Just by bringing that one player in, you suddenly find the Sixers having some reasonable athleticism on the roster. So they should be excited about this player. I don't think they made a mistake. Although you would have loved to have had Ace Bailey in a nutshell, I don't think he fit with what they have. I don't know that he wanted, he necessarily wanted to be there. So I think just at the end of the day, VJ was a bit more safe for them. And I think in the long run, this is going to be a situation where they absolutely love having VJ Edgecombe. He's going to immediately be somebody they like a lot. Also, a guy by the name of Johnny Broome they picked up in the draft as well, of whom I understand looks like he's going to be a nice player too for them. So that's what you see there. I think the Sixers, everybody has very low expectations for the Sixers, which is a great thing because they are more than capable of overachieving based on that low bar of expectations. And that's really what I think. The Sixers are going to be a team where, like I said, they don't have a chance to win a championship, in my opinion, not with their roster currently constructed this way. I don't think they also have a chance to really move on from contracts that can bring them the flexibility that they can ultimately use. But what they do have in place are some rookie contracts on some very exciting players. Jared McCain was a stud last year, man. He was a stud. Before he got hurt in the first 2 months of the season, he was running away with Rookie of the Year. He would have most definitely got Rookie of the Year if he didn't go down with that knee injury so early in his rookie season. This dude is a monster. And I think people have forgotten just how ridiculously talented he showed himself to be. Jared McCain was far and away the best rookie last year. Far and away. It wasn't close. He just so happened to blow his knee out. Now, is he going to come back 100% healthy? Is he going to come back and now start having reoccurring knee injuries, issues? That is the concern with Jared McCain. But otherwise, that's a future All-Star with absolute ease. He is a monster. I have not forgotten. I'm telling people I ain't forgotten what he could do. That's an All-Star. So I'm one of the few people that just says, man, McCain is somebody who you now have to worry about his health just like the rest of the Sixers stuff. But if he doesn't have any health issues, I can totally see him being a Brandon Roy type dude. I can totally see him being a Michael Redd type caliber player for the rest of his career. He's going to be one of them. So that's one of the reasons why I'm so intrigued by the Sixers, because I am extremely intrigued by what I saw from Jared McCain last year. And when you couple that with VJ Edgecombe, you couple that with Adam Bona, you couple that with Quentin Grimes, suddenly I kind of like what the Sixers have. And of course Tyrese Maxey's a stud. So that goes without saying. I like those players on the floor for the Sixers. Now when you start putting in Paul George and you know, Joel, depending on how Joel's doing, try to go with lineups that have Eric Gordon and Kyle Lowry. That's when you start taking away the fun from the Sixers. And that's the problem. Their coach is prone to do that. He is prone to do that. And that's what really brings down the ceiling of what those Sixers can do even further underneath championship. I think there's a good chance they don't even make the playoffs. But it's going to be because he keeps doing stuff that he showed us last year in that regard. If he doesn't do that, if he gets away from the old guys and starts leaning into the VJ Edgecombs and let Tyrese Maxey and McCain control the ball a bit more, let Adam Bona play, you know, some good center minutes and stuff like that. If he leans into the Sixers that are coming, I think whether they win 40 games or they win 22 games, I think they're going to have exciting basketball and feel great about what they're building. But if he keeps on putting them down there with these old people and running just flat basketball, I don't particularly think the Sixers are going to make anyone happy this year. And that's really what it is. And that's why I'm of the firm belief that their coach is on the clock, man. Their coach is on the clock. Because I'm not a Sixer fan, but if I were a Sixer fan, I wouldn't want to see any of that crap I saw from him last year. None of it. None of it. And I definitely don't want to have Joel Embiid be the end-all, be-all to my situation. Not with these young players that are really excited. VJ, McCain, and Maxey. That's really what the Sixers should be about going forward. The only reason why the rest of those people on the team is because they can't get rid of him. Paul George, if you can get rid of him, you get rid of him. Nobody's going to let you do that unless you're giving up picks. You have no business giving up picks. Now with those young guys on the squad, they're going to need running mates, so keep your picks. Joel Embiid, like I said, man, it's all about playing up his value, getting him back to a level where he looks like an all-star. And the moment he looks like an all-star, you pull the trigger on the first trade you can get. Whether you like it or not, it's addition by subtraction because you need that contract off of your books, and you need to be able to get rid of it without giving up picks. And that is exactly how I feel about Joel Embiid. As soon as a smart GM is able to get rid of him, they should be moving him anywhere for whatever. Just Get that contract off your books, because you definitely can't move Paul George. But I know a lot of Sixer fans ain't going to agree with that, because that's their legacy guy. I don't have any skin in the game with him. I'm looking at it from a cutthroat position. I don't love the Sixers, even like the Sixers. So for me, I'm looking at it strictly for how can I build the team going forward in a way that makes sense to what it is that ultimately my expectations and my capabilities are. Sixers can be anybody in the world as far as I'm concerned. I'm a Laker fan. You see what I'm saying? So it's a little different. I have a hard time when it's the Lakers we're talking about. It might make a lot of sense for somebody to move Austin Reeves for such and such. I ain't really ready to do that. I got my heart in the game when it comes to that Laker team. But with the Sixers, they ops, bro. I don't even care about them. So for me, it's very easy for me to be cutthroat GM, like, yo, move Joel Embiid right now. You know what I'm saying? Easy. I don't think nobody would be upset at moving Paul George. But Joel, I think it'll be an unhappy fan base. But I would move him as soon as it's feasibly possible. Move him. Because the future is McCain, Maxey, Edgecombe, Bona, and Grimes. If they're doing things correctly, that is the Fab Five of the Sixers, and I'm going to want them on the floor as much as humanly possible. If I could, I would tank with those five running for as much as possible. That's what I would do. In a perfect world, if they have their pick in 26, shut down Joel Embiid, whether he can play or not. If you can't move him and nobody will take him, he don't need to be out there getting hurt or nothing like that. Medically retired, I don't care. Just sit down and let me run these young guys, man. That's going to be my attitude. Fire that damn coach who want to play all these old people. Bring in somebody who's upbeat and spunky and likes athleticism and youth and fast, high-paced offense that can cater toward Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, and Quentin Grimes, and, of course, Jared McCain. That's the future. If you run those players, I think you'll have a happy Sixer fan base, because nobody in Philadelphia expects to win a championship. Nobody in Philadelphia expects to be able to move on from Paul George's contract. It's just about trying to develop those guys to their highest point and running them contracts down over the next 3 years while trying to pick and plug as many affordable prospects as possible to boost your overall team. And eventually give yourself enough assets, if at all possible, to maybe move those contracts if you attach yourself to them. That's what I would be trying to do. So, if there's a way we can kind of make sense of that, that's what I would want to do. But at the end of the day, I just think the brain trust of the Sixers doesn't really have it together in that regard. I don't trust Daryl Morey at all. I don't trust their coaching staff at all. I don't know that their ownership really sees things my way. So if that's what's going on there, I don't trust owner at all. But what I do know is somehow he stumbled in some nice prospects, and they need to develop those prospects and let them lead the way. I think you'll have a significantly happier Sixer fan base if you cater to what they now have in those young players, that young Fab Five that they got. So that's really what I want to say, man. Imani Bates was the player I couldn't think of. The young small forward that they just picked up. I don't know if he makes squad or not. But the point is, he was a prospect that had a nice name 2 years ago when he was drafted. Never really got off the ground, never really got a chance to show what he could do. But he does have a good NBA body. And like I said, he can break people down, do some Brandon Ingram-like stuff. Brandon Ingram-like type stuff, I think, when he fully develops. So I would say he'd be somebody to be excited about. I would also try to take a look at a guy like Bol. I think he would fit in really well. They could use the size, the length, the guard play type stuff at that 7'3" wingspan. Understand that Bol has other suitors as well, but if I'm the Sixers, I would love to add him to this situation. So, these are things I'm just brainstorming. I think the Sixers situation is intriguing, but they're unlike some of the other young teams that have exciting young players. They can't shift their timeline because they're stuck to such albatross contracts. So that's really what I see there, man. BDF 44, I thank y'all for watching. Wow.